first thing to talk about is why I'm here at all, because I'm really not a group rider, and in fact I make a bit of a fool of myself with groups. I've only done it twice, once with Mike and once with John Rains in New Zealand. But my main reason for being here is that I was invited, and it was just a wonderful opportunity to see the place again. I actually know Colombia much more than Mike does. I first came here when he was just being born, and that was in 1974. And I didn't actually come through Cali then. I can't really remember why. I know Bruno and I were on the road together. He was in this little van that he'd driven from Paraguay, and I was on the bike, and we used to ride separately through the day and then meet in the evenings. And I know we were in Pasto, and we were in Popayan, and we went to San Agustin. And in those days, it was really perfectly safe to ride pretty much anywhere. And all I can say is that I came away from Colombia thinking that it was one of the really most beautiful places I'd ever been. The mountains around Medellin particularly that I recall just staggered me. I mean, the amount of luxuriance and the floral stuff and the fruit and everything quite incredible. So naturally I've always wanted to come back, and on my second trip around the world I came back. That was in 2002. But at that point, things actually were a bit dicey here, and I got a little nervous, and I think I remember deciding that Cali maybe wasn't the best place to come to at that point, and I went on up the road to Buga, and then from there to Medellin, and I was always, it was difficult, because although I really still loved looking at everything here, I couldn't afford to get off the big roads because there was so much talk about the guerrillas, and so this has been an absolutely fabulous opportunity to come back and see it as it's meant to be seen, without all that violence rubbish, you know, nothing to be afraid of, and being able to get off the main track and onto these fabulous roads that are really, you know, it took me a while to realize that I was here to ride a bike. I mean, I don't normally think about riding a bike for fun. I usually ride bikes just to get somewhere and see something. And it just began to catch me, you know, on these curves, that I really had to start enjoying this. And it's fantastic. It was a bit of a learning experience at first. But I think anyone people are always talking about twisties in all these magazines. People are always going on and on about twisties, and I suppose I never really thought about it very much. But if you're a twisty guy, this would be the place to be, because we saw some incredible roads, and the feeling of it, of throwing yourself into the curves and getting it right, is just wonderful. So that part of it has been tremendous. We were on the road for 10 days. We stayed in some really exotic hotels, all quite different, all really good. Lots of lovely local stuff to see. A very relaxed atmosphere. Really, I couldn't fault the place. I mean, and I couldn't fault the team. I think they do a tremendous job. And Mike had the great good fortune to save the godfather of adventure travel from making a fool of himself on a particularly steep ramp up into a hotel. So you can always look forward to those immensely strong Danish legs to come along and get you out of trouble. So really, I've got to say, you know, the roads into the coffee country and along the the Cauca Valley and the Magdalena, and these immense rivers, and a touch of the old times with Pablo Escobar's aeroplane, looking really rather pathetic, sitting on top of the ranch. I think in a way one can almost laugh at him now, after all this time. But all of it's been very exciting. And if there's one thing, only one thing that I would criticize about Colombia, that is its main form of food is something called the arepa, which I always think is the most bland, meaningless piece of cornbread you could hope to get. But everything else is really wonderful, and the fish is terrific. And this is a great thing to remember when you come here. Ask for robalo, ask for because all over the place they fish bass out of the rivers, and it's always fresh and it's always wonderful. So, you know, I can't really think of anything that I would have wanted better. It was a really lovely experience, and I'm very grateful that you brought me here.
Thank you, Ted.